So I just got finished playing Dissidia NT for the PlayStation 4. I finally got a chance to spend a little time on it. And to put a long story short, I'm kind of sad that I spent any time on it because this game is awful. Like, it is probably one of the worst games I've played in a long time. And that's saying quite a lot, I think. Maybe not necessarily because it's a horrible game, but because of how utterly disappointing it is. I can't believe just how just terrible, flat out terrible this game is. And I'll just start quickly by taking you through my first impressions with the beta, which I did play. When I played the beta, I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of it. I was expecting a brief look at the combat system and nothing else really. So when I saw the arcade mode and the brief instance of the story mode that we got to see, I thought that it was okay, but I was expecting a lot more out of it. Obviously, it was just the beta. But I played the arcade mode in the beta, and that was fine. Had some problems with it, most notably the 3-on-3 mode, which I felt was pretty much the problem of the entire beta experience, the fact that it was just 3-on-3. And I'm kind of sad to say that the 3-on-3 mode is the entire game, and this is what stuns me the most, I think, because why is this game only 3-on-3? I don't understand that, especially since the previous games on the PSP were 1-on-1 and they did that pretty well, I thought. The 3-on-3 just only serves to enhance just how tedious and how boring this game is. Because the whole game is 3-on-3. Like, every single mode, it doesn't matter which mode you're in. And I say every single mode like there's tons of them. But the arcade mode is 3-on-3, the story mode, the online mode, everything is 3-on-3. And I don't understand why that choice existed. Like, why couldn't there be a 1-on-1 match? Is the game that unbalanced that they couldn't realistically have 1-on-1 matches? Did they think it would be too boring? Well, if it was too boring and 1-on-1, then they probably should have made a better game. I don't know, but it's just stunning to me that you can't have 1-on-1. It has to be a 3-on-3 match, and maybe that wouldn't have been so much of a problem if the combat system was fixed to a point where it wouldn't be so frustrating to have 3-on-3 matches in the first place. One of the biggest problems in this game is the lock-on system, which I did notice in the beta as one of the worst parts of that beta experience, and to be honest, I thought it would be fixed by the time the full game came out, because I thought that would be one of the major things that people brought up, was the lock-on system. And it wasn't, clearly. It's still in the game, and it still is a major issue. Basically, how it works is you have to be locked on to something at any one time. You can't disengage the lock, which is really frustrating because more often than not, you'll be focused on something, having your own battle at some portion of the map. And because you're locked onto your enemy, you can't see anything that's going on behind you. So more often than not, you will get blindsided, and there's nothing you can do about it. Either your teammates are there for you, or they're not. Or one of your enemies has decided to go rogue and just go after you, or go after anyone else, and it's going to happen to everybody. It's insane that that's an issue. And if the lock-on system was made so that you can disengage and you could free look and look around for yourself without having to be like locked into position of your enemy at all times, then it might not have been such an issue. I don't understand why that issue was never brought up. Maybe they were trying to force teamwork and player companionship, like looking after each other, I'll watch your back kind of thing, but it just doesn't work because, well, I never saw it work. Like, I was just getting completely, like, yeah, I'd be focusing on my own guy, and then I'd just get, someone would come out of nowhere and just start attacking. So, but yeah, if the lock-on system was improved, then maybe the 3-on-3 matches might have been less tedious, less frustrating. But as they are now, they're almost unplayable. At least they're unplayable to a point where you pretty much think you got robbed every time you play. Which leads me to another really, really bad part of this game, is how it deals with who wins and who loses. And I'm sure that this has annoyed more than a few people, but the way it works is because it's 3-on-3, each player gets a life basically, but the lives are shared between the team. So if you die, you lose a life, but if you die again, you lose another life. It doesn't matter who dies, a life is lost each time, and there's 3. And I'm sure that so many people can see how this could go wrong so easily. If you're in a team that's worse than you, or, vice versa, if you're terrible and everyone else is so much better than you, then you're going to be the one to lose the match for everyone else. And this has happened to me so many times as over the couple of hours, of the few hours I've played. I've been in a match where I've been holding my own, doing my own thing, having my own battle, and then all of a sudden I've lost the match. The match ends in defeat because my teammates have been losing the match for me, basically. Like, I've been squaring off one-on-one, not lost a life, neither, like, my enemy opponent hasn't lost a life and I haven't lost a life, and we've just been doing our own thing. And yeah, I've just lost the match outright, and there's nothing I can do about it. That's just how it is. So I can't believe that, like, there's so many issues with this 3-on-3 that keep popping up. This must have been seen in playtesting. Like, I can't believe for a second that they didn't see all these issues, because there are tons of them. And likewise, I've been in a match where I've died a couple of times. Like, I've basically lost the match for my team, and I'm sure that I've completely annoyed my team on that end as well. So in the end, it just makes you think, why couldn't it have just been one-on-one? It's unbelievable. It's so shocking that this wasn't addressed, and it's just crazy. What else? The story mode. In the beta, you get to see the story mode, which is literally 4 cutscenes that you have to unlock. The way the story mode works is that you earn memories or points through playing the game, through arcade mode, through online. If you win, I'm not even sure how it works. I'm not sure if it's a point-based system or if it's random, but you achieve little memories, points that you can use to unlock nodes in the story mode. And when you unlock them, you get a cutscene, or you get to play in a battle and advance the story mode with a battle. And it's so shallow and meaningless and pointless and tacked on and such busy work. It's so clearly just a gimmick for you to keep playing, because you can't just play through the story mode normally. You have to play online, or you have to play in the arcade to unlock the points to unlock the story mode. It's crap. It's so frustrating. Again, it's frustrating. The whole game is such a frustrating mess that it's unbelievable. And the story mode is pointless. Like, the cutscenes are pointless. It's basically the same story as before. 2 gods fighting over a crappy plane of existence that no god would want, but they want it anyway because they're bad or good, and it's such a contrivance. It's just boring. It's so boring. they could have done so much more with this story mode. They could have actually had character development between the characters. Surely this is the perfect opportunity to do that. Like, have Cloud and Squall talk to each other and, like, have real character development and talk to each other about their past or something, you know, like, have real conversations. But the only reason this game exists, like the story mode exists, is to justify this game's existence. Like, it's so pointless. I mean, that's pretty much the entire game. That's the whole experience, is 3-on-3 battles, a crap story mode, and that's it. That's all you've got. You get to customize your characters, kind of. Like, they did it so much better in the PSP versions, where you actually had weapons, stats, attributes. You could make and craft things. You could unlock all these, you know, various components and do all this stuff. And in this game, there's just barely anything. You can unlock costumes, you can unlock weapons, but the weapons are purely cosmetic, as are the costumes. You can unlock songs, you can unlock like battle songs, you can unlock avatar pictures, but it's so pointless, it's so shallow. None of it matters, really. And one of the things I will give this game credit for is when I played the beta, one of the more noticeable things on the beta was the treasure and shop mode. And the reason it was noticeable to me, at least, is because the shop mode was very suspiciously greyed out. And of course, me being the cynic that I am, and the modern gaming age that we live in, I pretty much completely 100% expected the shop mode to be just a haven for premium rate DLC, premium currency, and all that kind of thing. And the treasure system in this game did not help my fears at all, because the treasure system is a loot box system, because every game has to have loot boxes now, apparently. And thankfully, I'm surprised to say that it wasn't actually full of premium rate currency and DLC. The shop mode was actually a shop mode where you could use in-game currency earned through matches to buy various cosmetic stuff, costumes, and, you know, weapons, different character avatars and stuff like that. But I'm actually really turning on this game's decision for even that, because I'm almost certain that the only reason that it isn't full of premium currency is because they knew, like, I have to imagine they must have known this game was so bad and was going to be reviewed so terribly that no one would stick around long enough to buy microtransactions or premium rate currency or loot boxes. So instead they scrapped the idea and just added the in-game currency instead. So I don't believe for 1 second that they weren't planning, you know, like a premium rate loot box system with a loot box system in place. Like, why would they? Why wouldn't they just have you unlock them throughout the game? Or why wouldn't they just allow you to buy them through the shop? Why the loot boxes? It makes no sense. It's just, this game is so bad, like, in every single way. If nothing else, it makes me want to go back to the PSP games more than anything, because they are so much deeper, and there's more content, and the combat system is better. Like, even the combat system is completely superior in, like, every way. It's more dynamic, it's faster, it's more fluid, the maps are smaller. In this, the maps are huge. More often than not, you're chasing your enemy around like an idiot, because these maps are so huge. Like, they could have easily been half the size, regardless of the 3-on-3 match. It's just so stupid when you're flying around like a complete moron, like playing cat and mouse with your enemy, running out of stamina. Again, there's a stamina system for some reason, even though there wasn't in the PSP games, and that worked fine. As long as everyone doesn't have doesn't have a stamina bar, why does it matter? It's still balanced. It drags the game on, it makes it slow, it makes it tedious, the fight system's less dynamic. It's just unbelievable. Like, every part of it just makes me want to go back and play the old games. If that was their intention, then congratulations, because this game is really not worth anyone's time. It's so boring and bland, and there's no content to it. They try to add content, like they try to make it seem like there's more depth than there is by adding customization options that are really just completely worthless. You get to choose some skills and abilities that you'll probably never use, and if you do use them, you can only use them sometimes, like they charge up during the match, and it's so pointless. Couldn't they have added something from the originals? Couldn't they have added items with stats, a level up system that made you want to level up? Like, there's no reason to level up in this game, really, because it's not like you're equipping anything that requires you to be a certain level. You just get levels and that's it, It's so bad. So yeah, I guess my recommendation for this game is to not play this game and play the originals. That's all I have to say about it, really. Have fun playing Dissidia NT if you want to play it. This game is so bad.